Hello from the lockdown bunker. I've been getting rather a lot of questions, interesting questions that people have sent in to me to answer. And I thought I'd do some now and some perhaps in a few days' time. Carl from Surrey said he'd love to hear my thoughts about COVID-19 conspiracy theories and the 5G technology. Well, I looked into this and I read essays and articles by several scientists, all of whom said there was absolutely no discernible link between the two. I believe the scientists. I don't believe conspiracy theorists. I think they're really crazy about this, as they were with the MMR vaccine. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer, and I'm not against the whole idea of 5G technology. I think these things come when new technologies come along. People are scared of them, and there's always somebody that's got some bright idea, but it isn't true. In a recent survey, this is Paul from London, only 9% of people said they want things to go back to how they were before lockdown. And they talk about less stress, improved health, more efficient ways of working, and so on. Is this going to be permanent? Well, two things I'd say. Firstly, after every big and difficult experience, the First World War, the Second World War, and although this isn't, of course, anything on the same scale as that, nevertheless, it's been an experience which has hit every single one of us. People want change. And the great thing about the lockdown has been that we've seen the benefits of it, the cleaner air, the easier way of working. And I think probably we will want to find ways in which we can improve our lives by carrying on at least some of the aspects of the lockdown. Nevertheless, you have to bear in mind that the capitalist system is very strong, and people will have to go and work in offices and work in factories. It won't be possible for most of us to sit in our homes and carry on working, but it has been a lovely experience. Do you feel, this is Jensen from Dulwich, do you feel we'll emerge from this period with a new respect for our key workers, people who work in shops and restaurants? Will they be paid more? Yes and no. Yes, we have got a greater respect, I think, for the people that do things. I think we'll realise how much we depend on people that we've often traditionally paid quite poorly. Nurses are an obvious example, but so are waiters and in restaurants and cafes. So yes, I think we will have a better understanding of what they do for us in our society. But sadly, I suspect that the economic laws which make sure that some people are paid more and other people are paid less will carry on operating. Will the sustained break from live sport, music and entertainment diminish their value in the eyes of people who support them? This is from Jeremy in Oxford. Can footballers still justify weekly six-figure pay packets? You know, one of the things that's, I think, going to be quite interesting is how our economy is going to shift. I don't think there'll be changes because people say footballers are earning too much and nurses are earning too little, even though that is clearly the case. But I think you'll find, for instance, that the money that footballers receive through television payments will be cut down simply because the television organizations simply won't have the same amount of money afterwards, and they won't be able to pay that much. Therefore, football clubs, football managers, footballers simply won't be able to demand the kind of money that they have been getting. And I think that will apply right across society. With communities thriving, a more supportive, caring society developing, do you think this period has led us away from the increasingly insular, solitary lifestyles we were heading towards. This is from Oscar in Norfolk. Yes, up to a point, but I think a lot of people will actually want to throw themselves back into society after being marooned in their houses for so long. And I think, for instance, my wife and I often talk about, what's the first thing we'll do when the lockdown is lifted? Where will we go? Who will we see? And so on. So I suspect that yes, we'll be delighted to be out, but at the same time, we'll try, I hope, to keep some of the virtues and values that we've started to understand better by being locked down. What's my favourite country in the world and why? An odd one, I would say, at least certainly one of my favourite countries is Iran. Perhaps it's because for the last 11 years, there's been a dispute between the BBC and Iran. I haven't been allowed to go there, but I do love it very much. And it's an extraordinarily beautiful country with lovely, welcoming, intelligent, charming people. So yeah, I'd say Iran to visit, but to live in, I'd like to live in Hong Kong. It's just got such life there in the economy and the people and the food and the society in general. And if I were able to, I'd just go and live, I think, on Llama Island off Hong Kong. Very peaceful and lovely. In your career as a broadcast journalist, what's the best story you've covered and what's the worst? Alas, quite a lot of competition for the worst story. Massacres, wars, the siege of Sarajevo, one of the most appalling, disgraceful things I've ever witnessed. I suppose if I had to choose one single incident, it would be the massacre in Tiananmen Square in June 1989. I spent the whole month before the massacre just living in the square, really, sometimes sleeping there and at night time and talking to the students, the thousands of students who were there, and then to watch them being mown down. I counted 40 people myself that I saw die. That was very, very painful indeed, and I've never entirely got over that terrible experience. Best stories is easy, and also, thank God, been quite a few of them. But the best of all, no doubt about it, 1994, April and May, South Africa, and the peaceful handover of power. Everybody was forecasting violence and civil war between whites and blacks and everything that was bad. And I wrote an article for The Spectator, which I was on the staff of at the time, saying, now I'm here, I don't actually think it's going to be ugly and violent. I actually think it's going to be peaceful. And the editor, bless him, said, I can't agree with you and nobody else agrees with you, but you write it and I'll print it. And I did, and it was printed, and I got it right. The most wonderful experience. And watching Nelson Mandela himself being inaugurated, and because I'd struck up a bit of a relationship with him, and because I worked for the BBC, I was allowed to stand in absolute pole position right beside me as he took the oath on the inauguration day. And he gave me a wink at one point. I just thought, this is as good as it's ever gonna get. And well, perhaps it has been, I'm afraid. So that's really nice of you to send these questions in. Please send me more, and I'll answer some in a day or two's time.